I choreographed because of music. So there's no question of, chicken and egg, whatever that even means. I choreograph dances to music because I love the music, and it doesn't need dancing. I just think it wouldn't hurt. It's about the dancing, the musicians, the audience, everybody in the room, everybody in the theater is alive. I worship music and I love dance, and their relationship goes way back in time, and it's something that I try to perpetuate.
Well, for him, the music always comes first. It is always in that order. He walks in with maybe a few ideas. Maybe I want this many dancers, maybe some props, or maybe a little bit of an idea. But other than that, it just happens in the room. He literally throws stuff up and sees what sticks. It's like, I like that, I don't like that, let's incorporate that. Every single move that happens on stage comes from the music first.
The pithy thing that people say is, oh, it's musical visualization, but it's so much more than that. It's a dialogue with what is happening. He's referencing the text of things.
I first saw Mark's work and really fell in love. I was really smitten with it in the sense that the music that he used was music that I either really knew extremely well or thought I did until I saw his interpretation of it, or music that I didn't like that I suddenly understood or could navigate through because of the way that he treated that music and what he illustrated in some ways. And I started bringing people that I knew. You have to come see this and sit on the floor and dance theater workshop. I think it was the music, it was the way that you could hear things differently for the first time. And so that's really what drew me to it.
When I met Mark, we were both young and both in love with dance. And also Mark was an amazing dancer. It was so specific and musical and fluid and different. Mark would come into the studio having listened to music, the music that he was interested in, and he would just start moving, and we would move with him. And then he would turn around and he'd look at us and say, okay, what was that phrase that I did? And so we would do the phrase, and then he'd say, let's do a 2-measure canon, or change fronts, or do it on the opposite side, or face each other. What would happen if we did this on the floor? His creativity seemed abundant. It just flowed forth from him.
He works with the score in hand, famously. That's the way he coaches singers and musicians and instrumentalists and the dancers, is straight ahead, the facts, directness, and then the beauty will be found after that.
It's not magic. It is work, and it's a vocation, which a lot of people don't realize, and it's a job. And you get tired and sore and old and creaky and whatever, chronic injuries everywhere, all the horrors.
Back in the 80s, when AIDS decimated the arts community of New York City, I think that every gay man thought about dying. And I know that Mark confronted this very much. We had people in the company who passed. We knew people in just all over. It was awful. It was an awful time.
As a youngish adult, the AIDS thing, which continues to this day, and I was in New York then. I would say I went along fine for a while. A couple people died on me. And then it's now, I've earned the age where it's my friends who are dying, who are my age and younger and older. It's like, wow, this death shit is really serious. So my work must live on. I don't feel that way.
I can remember Mark saying, well, it's fine. The dances don't have to continue. They can go away when I'm gone. I won't even know. They can go away. I then thought, no, that's not okay. That's really not okay. There's got to be a way that this company could survive and continue to do Mark's work. That's when the idea of Dances for the Future came up, when I thought, well, if we make up works now, because Mark is incredibly prolific, so what if we put them away And then after he was gone, we would have these works to premiere, and that would be the enticement for people to keep coming and keep the company alive and keep his company. When I first pitched it to him, he thought I was crazy.
Nancy proposed the crazy idea of Dances for the Future. And I thought, what the hell do you think you're talking about? Are you trying to get rid of me? Is probably part of it. But I thought, that's kind of morbid. I wasn't brave, staring into the face of death. It's like, that's what mirrors are for. It was just like, that is really a bummer. That is so depressing. And then I thought, then it's not. It's like, here, I wanted you to have this. That makes me cry, actually.
I read this article about this artist, Katie Patterson, who was doing this library for the future.
The fabulously brilliant Scottish conceptual artist who's just done such amazing things.
And the idea of that library was to get authors to write books, to take these manuscripts and lock them away for the first one for 100 years, then 99, 98, so that 100 years later, you'd be able to have this library, one book from each of the last 100 years. And then to ensure that there was still paper 100 years from now, they planted a forest.
A book that will go into the little library that will then be printed on trees that are cut down, and a printing press that somebody's going to be trying to put together like an 8-track stereo. I think it's a riot, and I love it.
I think he slowly understood what it would mean. It was a mechanism, it was a way to fulfill what he wanted, which was that his company, these dancers, and these next generations of dancers would be the only ones to perform his work.
In terms of practicality, you have people who are trained by Mark and who have been doing the work to further his ideas through these dances, these time capsules.
I mean, I think we've lasted this long, 45 years and planning for our 50th because the work is good. That experience in the theater, the way that people feel when they leave the theater, the way that they respond in the theater, the arts are essential.
I don't think that art is supposed to fix things at all. I think it's probably better at breaking things.
What do we do when we're really sad? We listen to a really, really sad song so that we can cry, right? We can get it out. It's a friend, it's a supporter, essential to healing the soul.
I think that there's nothing more healing than movement. What we learn as dancers when we're injured is when you're recovering, the first thing you do is move. So much of dance and choreography is about patterns, and that is a way to heal ourselves, is recognizing the patterns within us and how we can change or alter them to give us a more fulfilling life.
Even just hearing music or seeing dance can touch people and can do things inside of us, inside of our brains, inside of our hearts. It can move things around, shift things around that can change our mindset and hopefully make us a little bit more positive, tap into a little emotion that we might be repressing. And I think great art has the power to do that, and I think Mark's work has the power to do that.
When I'm working on a new piece and Colin Fowler, my music director, is playing something, if I'm almost done, I won't allow him to play the final chord, which makes everyone insane. Dun da dee da 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 dum bum. Silence. And it was like, shit. And then the day I finish it, he gets to do the final cadence. And that's the end. At the party after my mother's burial, packed with friendly, fabulous old friends and people, and I had a desperate potato chip craving. And I remember I'm crying. I'm a little selfish about my mother. And I'm crying. There are all these people, and I push my way through the crowd and grab potatoes. I said, she wanted me to have this. And I did that for about a week. I got away with murder. So I didn't actually go that far. But I will tell you that my mother would have wanted me to have these dances go on. And I agree with her. That's the end. That's the end. Ow, ow! What are you doing?